Hey everybody, welcome back to the Nerdy Gritter, where we delve deep into the details of pop culture. I am Dez.
And I'm Fox.
And this has been a really exciting week for me for a few reasons.
For you.
Yeah, for me. For a few reasons. Number one, because Fox and I actually just started playing Far Cry 5. Mm-hmm. And this is the first, other than actually I've been playing a lot of Dragon Ball Fighters, but other than Dragon Ball Fighters, this is the first AAA game that I've been able to play in a while.
Whole series game. Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, mostly because I have to do, I don't want to say quantity over quality, because the games I play are very, very good. Make no mistake. I really enjoy the games I play. But shorter games allows for more quantity for me because I don't get much time to play video games as a father of three and a full-time job.
Whereas I have the time to play 60-hour Ni no Kuni 2. And already have 17 episodes recorded, even though I was out of town.
You have the time to play Kingdom Hearts, Ni no Kuni 2, Doom, Half-Life.
Like 17 games. No, that's true. But
so
anyway, what else is a good week?
It's also been a really good week for me because I've been watching some old movies that I've just been kind of delving back into. Oh. It's been really exciting for me. So watched Constantine couple weeks back.
Movie, okay.
Yeah,
I see what you mean.
So not old movies.
13 years ago, I think that was 2004, right?
Movies that didn't just release and that I'm trying to catch up on. I mean, I watched Spider-Man Homecoming. We talked about that last week. It was really good. But watched Constantine a couple nights ago.
I love Constantine.
It's just such a goofy movie.
It's not great.
No, but it's fun.
It takes itself seriously enough. You could argue too seriously. But, I love the Satan character in it. He's just so oily and gross, which doesn't really reflect the reality of Satan, in my opinion. But he's such a cool guy. And then I love the goofy, the shotgun, the cross gun, and whatever other weapons, and the bowling alley. Oh, man, I love it.
It's a cool movie. It is. And then I watched Fifth Element again recently.
Oh, so good.
And that one is a good movie.
It is great.
Yeah, I was actually appreciating the cinematography in it a lot this time around. They do a really good job, that the director does, cinematographer does a really good job of having scenes where there's conversations between people that are not in the same room. Mm-hmm. And so there'll be a thing where Zorg opens up and he's like, "It's empty." And then it pans to the priest who's talking to Lilu, and he says, "What do you mean, empty?" And then it pans back to Zorg, and Zorg says, "Empty, as in nothing's inside of it. Why is this empty?" And then it pans back to Lilu, and Lilu explains the situation to other people. And it's like Zorg and Lilu are having a conversation, but they're all substituting this type of stuff. And it's really, really good. And both conversations are natural and wonderful, but they do this 2 or 3 times in the movie where they have these conversations between people who aren't in the same room. And it's really good. It's a really good thing the way they did that. But most of all, I am so excited because one of my all-time favorite books, every time I read it, I think it climbs higher on the list. It's getting up to my favorite book of all time, is Ready Player One.
Are you really? Ready Player One is one of your favorite books of all time?
Yeah,
I have not read it. I can't say that you're wrong or right, even if, because I would, because that's how I roll. But that's very surprising. There are a lot of books out there.
There are a lot of books out there, and I have read a lot of books. I try to read a book a week. It does not succeed. I probably, on average, read 30 to 40 books a year. And, Ready Player One is it's easily in my top 10. And every time I read it, it climbs a little bit higher.
Very suspicious of that.
So, that's just because you've seen the movie?
No. We'll get into that. We'll get into that. That's
a
big deal, what we're talking about today. But I also watched several movies. Well, we started Far Cry, of course, and I've been playing Ni no Kuni 2, which is... Both are really fun.
Fox. I don't know how many times I have to tell it. Thank you.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
I'm so sorry. Please don't fire me. Ni no Kuni. And that's a really great JRPG. Great storytelling, actually. Has a lot. It's basically a series of mini stories that, part of an overarching story, and they're really fun.
Fox has dubbed this, and I think I support it, the year of the JRPG, or the resurgence.
The resurgence of the JRPG.
Yeah.
And I'm going to include Xenoblade Chronicles 2.
Oh, for sure.
Also, it was December 1st last year.
Oh, I see what you're
technically, but it's close enough.
I was Xenoblade Chronicles is definitely a JRPG, but okay, that came out last year. Got it.
You got Ni no Kuni 2. Dragon Quest XI is coming out now, officially September 4th, which I'm very excited for and has... I mean, obviously I haven't played it. It's Japanese only so far. Right. But the reviews are that it's just the greatest game ever.
Kingdom Hearts 3 is supposed to come out sometime this decade.
Yeah, sometime, and we'll count it. Yeah, I'm really excited. Because JRPGs are my favorite genre, hands down.
That's something that we might want to talk about sometime, is the trip away from and now leading back to the JRPG.
Yeah, I missed the PS2.
Oh, the PS2.
The PS2 was a golden age. Final Fantasy X, Final Fantasy 12, Dragon Quest 8.
Well, PS1
Rogue
was
Galaxy.
7, 8, 9.
Well, sure, you had a lot on that one too. But
yeah.
The more cinematic... I mean, Final Fantasy was very cinematic, but really getting into it in PS2 times. Anyway.
So good.
Yeah, so I've been playing those. I saw movies that came out much more recently.
Yeah.
I went and saw a movie called Unsane.
Yeah.
You're
telling me about that.
Yeah, I saw it. I took a vacation or a trip to Joplin back and just had some downtime. I went and watched
Joplin Misery.
Yes, it was just as the city itself is just as bad as always.
If you guys have never been to Joplin, Missouri before,
congrats.
It is a bleak place.
Don't be there.
Like, it's not bleak as in like sad and hopeless like sometimes Detroit would feel like or New York would feel like.
Right.
But just like
it's kind of boring.
Yeah, like
and
just
like
it's so dead end. It is the epitome of what my grandpa was born here and his grandpa was born here and his grandpa was born here.
Look, we could talk about this all day long, but I don't want to, but that's very true.
Yeah.
Anyway, watch a movie called Unsane, directed by Steven Soderbergh, who did the Ocean's 11 trilogy, plus, Magic Mike and lots of other stuff.
For those of you guys who are in the musical theater, that's Steven Soderbergh and not Steven Sonnenberg.
You mean Sondheim?
Sondheim?
Yep.
Sonnenberg was one of my professors in college.
There you go.
Yes, that's Steven Sondheim.
For those of you into movies and not the classes I went to in college, big topic in modern day pop culture. Anyway, he's a great director. This movie was baffling to me, though. It was a very quick synopsis. A lady basically gets tricked, quote unquote, into a stay in a mental hospital. It has some commentary on the state of the mental health industry, which
I could go on
about. With hospitals just being bad, like straight up like human rights violating. It's terrible thing in real life, but it kind of comments on it, which is the most interesting part. But she's in there and she has a stalker. She moved from Boston to get away from this guy, has like a restraining order, all of that. And then she gets there and she's in this place. Technically she signed the papers, but she didn't, it's essentially against her will. And then she sees the guy. And I'm going to go with here, spoiler. So
yeah, if you haven't seen or if you want to see Unsane.
I don't think it's so bad you shouldn't see it, but I'd Redbox it at the most. Don't pay a movie theater price. It's probably going to be out of theaters anyway real soon. Spoilers though. You find out very soon into the actual plot of the movie, because there's a decent 20 to 30 minutes where it's not the plot, it's just introducing who she is, like kind of setting up what's going to happen. You find out very soon into the actual plot that the person that she thinks is there is there. Like, it's her stalker. And in this kind of movie, I'm not saying you have to, like, that you can make any story good, but this movie really needed the tension of, is she actually mentally unsound or not? Like, is this guy there?
Right.
And you find out immediately, without any question, it is him. And it kind of deflated the whole thing, because it's also not the kind of movie that was dark enough that felt like, oh, it's going to turn out bad. Like, it basically just felt like, okay, now I'm just waiting for her to get revenge or get out of this situation. And she does. And like, it was just kind of like weird. Another weird part about it is that it was entirely filmed using iPhone 7s, which is interesting. Like, using technological limitations can be a real cool thing in movies, or just certain camera, all that stuff. It was just strange. It didn't really have any point to it, it felt, and it kind of limited what, like, because every shot was locked down, either very stationary or very slow pans, or very, like, not even panning, just like on a dolly shot where it's just moving, but still, like, the still frame, like, and this is a movie like this where it should be tense, and it should be like, I don't know what's going on, and oh, is that him? Like, there should be a lot of camera work can be essential to creating that tension.
Absolutely.
Where you got some whip pans, and you got some fast movement, and it just didn't have that because a camera, an iPhone 7 is not a film camera. It has a lot. You get a lot of motion blur when you're moving the camera. Like,
right.
There were straight up, like, I remember at least one shot that was actually kind of out of focus, which, to be honest, might have been the Joplin movie theater because they're bad. But but it was just weird. Anyway, it was fine, I guess. Like, I don't recommend watching it, but if you do, wait till it's on Redbox.
Yeah, my issue with that is just, if you're going to tell me this is like Chronicle, or if this is like 9mm.
Oh, you mean like found footage?
Yeah.
That would have been better for this.
If this were a found footage type of movie and they said, we are doing Blair Witch 3, which actually I think that's a thing. We're doing Blair Witch 4, maybe.
There are 3 Blair Witch movies,
we're doing Blair Witch 4 now. And it's going to be another found footage one like the first one. And so we're shooting it entirely on the iPhone 7.
Yeah.
We want to thank Apple for their gifting of all of these iPhones or whatever, because that would be the case. But if there's no purpose to it and they're just saying, oh, and by the way, this is all fit, that that's an advertisement. That's an ad.
Right. There's nothing in the movie that tells you this is how they filmed it. Characters use iPhones, but it didn't feel at all ever like a product placement. It just, that's the phones they have. Like, it was weird. And I think it was probably a budget thing. Like, the script is okay. It's not great. Let's reduce our costs by using iPhones.
You have a $12 budget. You can borrow my iPhone.
I think it made a few $1 million, like 3 or 4, and it definitely made a profit. So, but yeah, and I also saw Murder on the Orient Express, which is not the most recent. Came out last year.
Right.
That was really fun.
Was it?
Yeah,
because it got middling reviews.
Yeah, Kenneth Branagh was the director who he's directed lots of things, a lot of like Shakespearean type stage plays and stuff, and movie adaptations of those. But also he was Gilderoy Lockhart in Harry Potter.
That really?
Yep.
Wow.
He's the director and the main character, the detective in Murder on the Orient Express, and it was fun. Whodunits are always
Poirot. Was it
Hercule
Poirot?
Hercule Poirot.
Yeah,
and he was great. Had a great cast, like Daisy Ridley or Rey from Star Wars is in it.
Dench.
Yep.
Jack Black.
No, not Jack Black.
Josh Gad.
Josh Gad.
Yes.
Yeah, they're very similar.
They're the same person. Yes. No.
Yeah, and it was fine. It was way better than Unsane, and it was fun to watch. Like I was paying close attention the whole time, and the ending was satisfying.
I was told that, kind of like a couple other movies that came out recently, that everything is filmed on this train, and therefore just backgrounds got a little boring, a little rough.
Not everything was on the train, but yes, the train is stuck. And so they're off the train a little bit just to walk around. But yes, 90% of the movie is in, maybe 85-90% of the movie is in this train. And the train's like 4 cars long. That really, I didn't care about that at all though. Like, I liked characters enough. I liked Hercule, the main character. He was a Hercule. I keep thinking of that. Mr. Satan.
Mr. Satan, yeah.
No, I liked him enough. I was just like, he was a fun guy. Like, I enjoyed like his delivery of the lines and stuff. So I didn't really care about the setting being repetitive. I could see that, but
was it camped at all? Because the Pink Panther movies are supposed to be like a mocking of Poirot.
No, this was very serious. Except for him. I mean, I think he's just a goofy guy sometimes. Yeah. Like, very exact and loves, like, black and white and justice and, like, asks people to adjust their ties because it's off skew and, like, needs everything to be level and all that stuff.
Monk type of thing.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. But, no, it was not a campy movie. It took itself very seriously.
Now, have you seen the original?
Nope.
No.
I've always wondered, we did wonder if the plot and the ending or something would change between movies.
Because I wonder if you'd seen the original, if you were to walk into this, it would still be interesting, or if they changed it or something like that.
That'd be cool. Anyway, I also saw the movie Ready Player One.
Yeah.
And that was interesting to me.
And that's something that we're going to be talking about today. So we're going to talk about 2 different things. Number one, we're going to just going to be referencing and talking about Ready Player One a lot.
Right.
We are coming this from two very different perspectives.
Yes.
Because although we've both seen the movie, Kyle Fox has not read the book, or I have read the book 4 times now.
Wow.
And I love it. It's just so good.
All right.
For reasons we'll talk about. And we'll say 2 things. Number 1, we will attempt to not give away massive spoilers.
Oh, we aren't?
But number 2,
good to know.
there will be spoilers.
There will be spoilers.
There will be spoilers.
Like, even if they're not massive, there will be spoilers.
Truth be told, we probably will give away some massive spoilers, but we'll probably give you some sort of like warning or something like that.
True. Okay, we can do that. That's fine.
But so just so you know, there will be plot spoilers in what we're talking about for both the book and the movie. But as far as like major, twists and things like that, we'll warn you.
Another warning.
We'll warn you.
Steve. Des, that's your name, not Steve.
Well, both are my name.
Right, that's true. I want to just, if you want to disconnect it from the book or whatever, I know that's hard to do. I want to hear just at the start what you thought of the movie.
So, and this was really difficult for me to disconnect it from the book because, I told you this before, it is outlandishly different from the book as far as plot line goes. The way I talked to my wife about it, because we saw it together, she really liked it. She really liked the movie. The way I talked to her about it is, it's like they took the spirit of the movie
or the book,
or the spirit of the book, and said, we want to honor this spirit.
Sure.
And then changed the brain and the body.
Everything else.
Yeah, and they did a good job of honoring that spirit. They really did a good job of honoring the spirit, but they did change nearly everything else. And so it was very difficult for me to detach the two because it was so different.
That makes sense.
That being said, though, it was a really enjoyable movie. I liked it a lot. I had a lot of fun watching it. I understood why they made the choices that they made, because there were a lot of things in the book that were really fun to read, but if you had to just sit there and watch it, probably would not be as fun.
Yeah, I mean, that's just
definitely not
the
exciting.
Written word versus the visual image is always that way.
But it was not stellar. I'm not going to say like, oh, it deserves all these awards. Or maybe a visual effect award. The visual effects were stellar in that movie. Phenomenal.
Fine, yeah. I mean, like, everything's fine now. Like, I mean, it still wasn't. It wasn't. The peak is Jurassic Park, as far as visuals effects.
I agree. Yeah,
we're still trying to get back to that. Even with our new Jurassic Parks movies.
The first Lord of the Rings movie.
Yeah, okay, with
less CG and much more bigatures and things like that. There were some
Lord of the Rings, yeah.
Well, they started relying on it more as the movies.
Well, they had more that they needed to rely on.
Yeah,
for. They didn't have any 20,000 men battles in Fellowship of the Rings. They fought some Dementors on a hilltop,
which is again, like I said, that's why that one was really good. Anyway, but yes, I understand what you're saying. Because Jurassic Park did the same thing. It was minimal CG and the CG was there just to help like tie in the big machines and whatnot, animatronics. Anyway, so the movie, I give it a 7.5, 8 out of 10.
And that's your average.
No. I'm starting to. The more and more I talk about movies with you, the more I'm starting to like bump things down to your just because
you're going off like the school grading.
That's exactly what it was.
For me, a 5 out of 10 is literally average. It is the exact median movie.
Right, and I'm getting at that right now. So no, I give it 7.5, 8 out of 10. Where the movie was really fun and really good. If you want a 9 or a 10 out of 10, you got to do something pretty drastic, pretty phenomenal. But this one, there were a few things that I could point and complain about, but there were also a few things that I could say blew my mind.
Yeah, sure. That's a good description of it.
How about you? What do you think?
I have a more negative review than you do,
right?
Which is most of the time the truth.
Yeah, that's pretty common.
I thought it was okay.
Yeah,
it's a standard Steven Spielberg like popcorn movie. We consider these classics like Jaws and E.T. and all these movies he's done to be like wow cinematic classics now, but that's just because they hold a place in our hearts.
Right.
Jaws is not a great movie. Like it's not an amazing film. It's fun to watch, but there's nothing really great there.
Although I kind of fight you on E.T. E.T. I think is a good.
It's been a long time since I've seen E.T. or like that's what I'm saying. I think that's why I'm saying Steven Spielberg has this place in culture where he's like this iconic director,
right?
But he's iconic. He's not. He's obviously a great director. Like he has a very good eye for film.
He has his failures too.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, like he's not like an auteur everything is a masterpiece director. Right. So this is, for me, one of a classic Spielberg, where it's really good, but not, like, mind-blowing. Yeah. Or not, like, something brand new. I had a lot of issues with the plot, mostly. I understood the basic concept, like, it's pretty straightforward. Guy needs to get these 3 keys, like, to win the thing.
Which, okay, so I'm going to stop you right there, because I think that helped raise my appreciation of the movie, because I was able to fill the holes in the plot of the movie with the plot of the book.
Oh, interesting.
And like just in my brain, like they would be like, I'd be like, that they didn't explain that happened, and that's why that they gave you point A, point C, and I already knew point B.
Okay.
So I was able to kind of justify it.
Yeah, I'm going to get into some details here about that. I wanted more context for what was happening. If I don't know if they ever just said their... Oh, yeah, they did mention his age. He's a teenager, basically.
Yeah.
Does he go to school? Is there a government in this world? Where do they go to the store to buy stuff? The world essentially was crappy reality or amazing, fantasy virtual world. But... they never, he's never eating in the movie, which I understand is a stupid detail to be complaining about, but it's just the idea that how do they pay for the power, how do they pay the electricity company to power these crazy computers? Like, all these things, it didn't have enough context. It just threw you right into the whole fantasy world and did not show you any of his normal life, except for a 30-second scene where he lives with his aunt and her terrible dirtbag boyfriend who's abusive. Yeah. That was the only real life thing that happened to him. And that made me not care about him very much, because the whole time I was just like, yeah, this is important to people, but it's a video game. So just log off.
So it's funny that you say this, because first of all, I will kind of disagree with you on saying that they never explained that.
Okay.
They did a very poor job of it, though.
Okay.
And the book does a much, much better job of it.
I would hope.
Because they state something in the movie, and then they just state it, not realizing that people are going to come in with presuppositions. So they say in the movie, everything happens in the Oasis. And that's it.
Oh, is that supposed to mean I also go to school there?
Yep. He goes to school in the Oasis. People pay for they go grocery shopping in the Oasis, and then stuff is delivered to them.
Okay, I guess the drones, you could say, there's a lot of drones flying all over the place delivering stuff. But the only things they show being delivered, they show food one time.
Bombs.
I do remember that. But the other time there's bombs and then products for the game. That suit he wears.
Right.
Which the suit I found... Why? I didn't see the point of it. Okay, now you get to feel pain. Okay, I thought this was a fantasy world. I don't want to feel pain.
They talk in the movie that you can feel everything, but it feels like somebody's kind of giving you a gentle punch. You don't actually feel getting shot.
To me, it felt like they were trying to PG-13-ize something that's if you want to, get with a girl, this is going to be nice.
They talk about that in the book.
They show it in the movie, too, she's all rubbing up on him, whatever.
Yeah.
But the rest of the time he wears it, he's getting shot in the face, and I'm why would you want to feel this?
What I want to know is, why do they have the LED lights that show where something is touching you? Is somebody watching you? Because you can't see it. You're in the Oasis.
Yes.
Is somebody is the goal for people? They're oh, now she's touching his chest. I can see that now.
Yeah, that's a little weird, but that's mostly what I had with it. There were some plot things like Simon Pegg's character. This is a spoiler. I'm going to tell you right now. There's a huge spoiler right here. Okay. Although it doesn't really have any impact on the story.
But skip ahead probably 30 seconds if you this is a big deal.
You find out at the end that he was the butler librarian curator of the Museum of Halliday. And I was like, oh, wait a minute. Is that just what he does now? Did he just stand in the library for 5 years or however long?
9 to 5 or however long.
That's just how long. Like,
if somebody walks into the library, does he get like a notification to wake up like, oh damn,
I gotta go. No, like, yeah, like that didn't make any sense to me. I didn't like the quarter bet thing. We're still in spoiler territory if you joined.
Yeah.
He at one point he makes a bet. Like, oh, you're gonna find a clue here. I'll bet you all the gold I have, or all the coins I have, the currency in the game. And then he's right. And the butler guy's like, well, a bet's a bet, and flips him a quarter. And you're like, that's not what he bet you. He bet you all of the money he had, not a quarter. And then the quarter turns out to be the biggest MacGuffin of all in the movie. Like, literally. And it's like, you did not earn, like, why does he have that? Why is that a one-up thing? Like, that just, it didn't make any sense to me.
So, again, continuing in spoiler territory,
Yep.
The quarter is in the book too.
Sure.
But is much better justified.
Yeah, like, it should be a prize for a game. You know what? That race should have been a thing at the beginning. He wins the race, you get an extra life. Show it at the very beginning, and at the end, you've already forgotten about that by now, and then you're like, huh, like what is it? Scott Pilgrim style,
World, yeah.
where he's like, now I've got an extra life.
Yeah,
Perfect. It would have been great. It would have been ripping off Scott Pilgrim, but I like Scott Pilgrim more than this. So if it was more like it, I would have been fine.
I also like Scott Pilgrim more than this.
But yeah, that was my main thing. Like, there were a lot of plot holes, but as far as like the movie went, it was fine. Like, I could forget about those things while watching it.
Yeah.
It only in the like review part of my brain after seeing it, I was like, oh, that's a problem. But while watching it was okay.
See,
fine.
One thing that the movie does that the book doesn't have to do is the movie relies on the spectacle and the nostalgia of it.
Yes.
And it most definitely says, look, it's not going to be the perfect movie, but
it's got the Iron
Serenity's
Giant.
in it, or Serenity's in it, Iron Giant's in it,
Iron Giant,
Gundam,
Mecha Godzilla's
all
in
these
it. Things.
Yeah, sure, there's some minor plot holes, but Doom planets.
Doom Planet, but it wasn't actually the movie or the game Doom. Like,
yeah,
I was disappointed by that. I was hoping there'd be a bunch of demons that they were fighting and stuff.
This whole thing of like the most dangerous planet in the Oasis, that's not in the book. There is no race in the book. There's no The Shining in the book.
It's unfortunate. It's the best part of the
So another spoiler, but not a big plot spoiler, but just the most fun part of the movie.
Yeah, a section of the movie.
So this, I think, was their most successful pull in nostalgia. And we're going to be talking about nostalgia here in a little bit here. And if nostalgia is becoming a crutch for our writing these days, but this was their most successful pull of nostalgia. Is their characters went into the movie The Shining,
and it was so fun.
Yes, and they had to solve some puzzles and go around while navigating the movie in The Shining, where they did a pretty good job of, if you have never seen The Shining, still making it kind of creepy or weird, but if you've seen The Shining and you know it was intense.
The elevator scene was the most tense part of the entire movie. Because the rest of it, I was never like, what's gonna happen? Is he gonna win the day? Like, is he gonna get the Easter egg? I was never like that.
Right.
But when the guy who had never seen The Shining was walking up toward the elevator in The Shining, I was like, no, don't press the button. I literally said that out loud, which is not something I do. I said, don't press the button, because then, of course, it opens, and what happens. And that was a really fun.
Or when going to room 237, don't go in there. Don't go in the room.
That's a bad idea. Don't watch the movie Room 237 either, because it's a really stupid documentary about the movie, about The Shining. That was a really fun scene because it slowed down. It was like, here's this one thing instead of the battle at the end where it's 20 minutes of, here's everything ever that you've always loved for 3 seconds each. And there's just it's just this, you cannot keep track of what's happening at any given moment. Like, nothing really matters except for this one character, but there's so much time dedicated to everything else. And it was whatever. I don't care about the big battle scene. It wasn't a big deal. What I'm saying is that Shining moment worked really well because it was like, hey, remember this? And like, used part of that movie, The Shining is a tense movie, and it used the things that had, like, it used that movie's advantages for this movie. Whereas it was much better than just saying, hey, look, it's the Ninja Turtles. But if at some point you said, oh, we need, like, some ninjas to help us fight these bad guys, Ninja Turtles are here. Like it actually uses what they're there for, or, you know, like, it was much more interesting,
right,
to me.
So at the end of the day, here is my big problem with the movie versus the book, and this doesn't have anything to do with nostalgia, so we'll get to nostalgia in a bit here.
Sure.
But the big difference, and kind of what I feel hurt the movie, is the movie's main theme and main plot was get the egg and do all kinds of cool, awesome stuff in the meantime.
Stop the bad company from being bad.
And and they were going to put advertisements everywhere.
Hashtag FEA. That was the theme.
Yeah, and that kind of stuff. That stuff is true in the books, but really what the books are about are, we want to preserve the heart of something we love and adore. Mm-hmm. And we want to be able to maintain the purity of this thing.
Sure.
But then even farther into that is, but we're also kind of addicted to this.
Yeah. And
we need help. And that's why the very end of the movie, again, massive spoilers for the book and the movie here.
Right.
The very end where obviously Parzival succeeds.
Yeah, he saves the day.
And he gets the egg.
He did that. Crazy.
I think we all expected that to happen.
Yes, obviously.
And there's that scene with James Halliday. Mm-hmm. In the movie, it lands a little bit flat because he's like, the thing with reality is it's real. And so you need to get out there and experience the real world. And in the movie, it was a little kind of flat. I mean, the actor who played James Halliday, by the way, great job.
Yeah, Mark Rylance.
Rylance.
He's been in a lot of Spielberg movies recently. Anyway.
He did a great job playing like that mild autism.
Yeah, I love just like the antisocial, not even antisocial, just kind of not good with social cues and stuff. Like, that's great, yeah.
But his whole thing. But in the book, it's this huge moment in which he's like passing over the torch from Halliday to Wade Watts.
Essentially, Willy Wonka giving the keys to Charlie Bucket.
And he says, "Now this is great, but one thing that I didn't realize in life is sometimes you have to get into a reality, because the thing about reality is it's real." Mm-hmm. And that moment hits so much more heavily. There is no cheesy thing at the end where he's like, and so we closed down the Oasis on Tuesdays and Thursdays.
Oh, yeah.
I hated that.
That just seemed...
I hated that.
Like, really? Just 2 days out of the week?
Well, in the book, that's closing down society for 2 days a week.
Yeah.
Everything happens. School,
no
work,
more... Yeah, okay.
Everything happens.
I guess it works better in the movie than in the book, because they don't explain those things.
Yeah, so everything happens. So you can't just shut it anyway, but... the end of the book is he and Artemis are meeting for the first time face to face ever. And this is the crux of everything that's happening, is they are experiencing reality.
Here's a real life person.
Literally, they don't see each other face to face until the last 3 pages of the book. And they sit next to each other, and Wade Watts says, and for the first time in my life, I didn't want to go back into the Oasis.
That's great.
And that's the end of the book. And it all comes down to that thing where, look, you had this incredible adventure. You love this book, didn't you, reader? You love coming in this world, but guess what? This is a pretend place.
Yep.
Reality is real.
Yeah.
Get out there. And I love the message of that.
That's cool.
The book is so much better.
Let me, okay. I'm going to switch gears here a little bit, because we got stuff to talk about.
Yes.
But I'm going to tell you, leading into this, what my favorite part of the movie was.
Go.
At one point, the evil businessman, leader of IOI...
Sorrento.
Sure. He is trying to convince Parzival, who has already solved one of the puzzles and has a key, to join his side.
Right.
He's like, I'll give you all this money, I'll give you all this cool stuff, blah, blah, blah. And Parzival's like, I don't know if I trust you. And like... what about this? And like starts giving him like tests, like, don't you love James? Or like trying to make sure he actually likes Halliday and is like into the real things. Like gives him trivia and is like, well, what movie? And and it shows the businessman being like, yeah, I get it, I'm a businessman, but I really love. And then you see somebody in through an earpiece being like, you drink Tab, you go to the movie theater, you watch Jaws, like you feeding him these things they're like the code words that would make him pass the test for like being cool or being hip, or like basically giving him the concepts or the ideas that would make him successful.
Right.
Trying to be a little more general here, because I feel like that scene is a really like wink wink, look at the movie industry right now scene. To me, that was a 1-for-1. This is reality, because that guy in his earpiece is a movie executive saying, we need to make money. We want these things. What can we do to extract that from the society? Well, they love Iron Giant, so let's put Iron Giant in our movie. Well, they love, they really miss the days, the 80s, where they went to the arcades and, like, they saw John Carpenter movies. Let's make Stranger Things. It's essentially that. Like, this idea of nostalgia, like, playing off of people's, like, yearning for their younger days and loving these, like, the things that they love to make a profit off of them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we want to talk about today is, now that we're 35 minutes into this, nostalgia in just media in general. Like, we can move beyond movies, like just the place it holds in our pop culture and the danger of it, the positives of it, if we can think about them.
Because here's the issue.
Yeah.
And again, well, is it an issue, I guess, and that's kind of what we're talking about. Is we have Transformers and
Ninja Turtles. And, I mean, every other day is something.
Well, there's so many other ones.
That's the problem.
Rampage, freaking Rampage. I'm furious with this. Yes. All of these things, Jumanji, the movie coming out, all of these things, basically everything The Rock does. But all of these things are stuff that were precious to kind of our generation. I mean, you're probably one generation behind me.
Essentially,
but, still our 2 generations of time, precious to us and being represented back to us.
Right.
Even the cartoons that are being released these days are like, hey, look, Hey Arnold is back, or Ben 10 is back, or whatever else. And there's a whole lot of like re-releasing. Samurai Jack had a 1-season run, and it just all of these ideas. Voltron is back, and actually the new Voltron anime is really good.
Well, that's something we talk about. It's not always a bad thing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Anyway, and so the question is, are we running out of creativity and using nostalgia as a crutch instead of challenging writers or challenging people or even challenging viewers or readers to have something new? Are we using nostalgia as a crutch? And if so, is that a problem?
And then how do we respond?
Yeah, how do we respond?
So, like we always like to get into, what do we do?
So how do you feel about the nostalgia craze? How did you feel about Ready Player One and the use of nostalgia in it? What do you think about it?
Ready Player One is an anomaly in this concept, because it's straight up like, hey, look at all these things you're like. It's like the movie itself is about this,
right?
So it's kind of a meta commentary on the whole idea of nostalgia and like loving things. It was weird in the movie that they were all the things that they loved were things from like 40 years before, like 40 years before they were alive. That was kind of, they weren't nostalgic for The Shining. They were in love with James Halliday, who loved The Shining. So that was really interesting.
Yeah.
That's kind of on a different level, but so it's kind of a weird. This movie is kind of weird in this whole this whole conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually they love the Oasis, and so they love James Halliday,
right?
And so they love everything James Halliday.
Yeah, and it's also self-motivated a little bit because they're trying to solve the puzzle, which gets them control of the Oasis. Anyway, so yeah, it's a little out of the realm of the current topic, because then you look at Transformers, and that's just like the fact that those movies are both trash, like bad movies,
right,
but also referencing things that have not been relevant for like 30 years, shows us like people don't care about it. They care about that they cared about it before. And that's the big deal. Like I will readily admit there are things that I used to love that like Samurai Jack. I loved Samurai Jack when it came out, and when that new season came out, I've watched an episode of it, and I was like, this is awesome. It helped that it was really good.
Yeah.
And also, but yeah, I mean, I'm not free from the nostalgia factor. None of us are. Everybody longs for the younger days when things were simpler and we, loved those things. But I do think it's a here's the thing. When you look at the best movie...
My wife is behind us making faces through a window. And then she just disappeared before Fox could see.
What a monster.
Anyway.
Look at the best picture movies in the Oscars. Are any of them based on something from your childhood?
No.
No, they are not.
No, they are not.
They are not. There's a best adaptation.
I mean,
like
Shape of Water kind of is, but it's not something from my childhood I like to talk about.
I don't want to talk about that. It was a
was...
weird family vacation.
Yeah.
No, it just...
Let's just say there was an eel. And...
Anyway, there's a reason why there's a best adapted screenplay category. It's because it's not... I'll kill you. You're distracting him, which is distracting me.
She's still back. Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
Anyway, it's just it holds a place in. I'm getting off track here. I don't know what I'm trying to say now.
Jackie did it.
Yeah. It's just the whole nostalgia factor is not. It's banking on your love of something and doesn't care about the actual movie that it's creating or the story that it's writing. Which that's my main problem. Mm-hmm. It creates dishonest writing or dishonest art because I don't have to make the best Transformers movie. I just have to put Transformers in it.
Yes, and this I wholeheartedly agree with this. And this is kind of where I think there are two types of nostalgia writing these days. One that I think is very good, and one that I think is very bad.
Okay,
and there's not much in the middle anymore either. Like it's one way or the other. And both recognize, hey, all these old nostalgia things weren't very well written. Transformers, Voltron, those cartoons, not
well, yeah, those
great,
cartoons were just to sell ads.
Exactly.
Sell toys.
Sell toys. That's all they were. So, you know what we could do? We could take them.
Yeah.
And we can make them whatever we want.
Could elevate them. Yeah.
And so at that point, they say two things. You could be Michael Bay and you could say, we have like a mediocre alien fight movie here. And since Transformers was so vague, I could just slap their face on it.
That's a good point.
And call it and make that mediocre
Transformers 6
so popular now.
Yeah.
And that's, if you guys didn't know this, that's something that's typically done with movies is they will have generic action movie and then they'll be like, okay, let's put
Ethan Hunt and make it the next Mission Impossible.
Right. Let's put freaking Bruce Willis and make the next Die Hard movie.
Yeah.
Or make it the next Jack Reacher movie or whatever else.
Yeah. Big action movies, it's very heavy in the action genre because they have such common tropes.
Generic.
But yeah, Die Hard 5 was not written Die Hard 5.
Yeah.
It was written as action movie and then it was purchased and they put Bruce Willis in there and made it Die Hard 5.
I mean, to kind of go on to this, the movie Tears of the Sun was meant to be Die Hard 4, but then the more they looked into it, they were like, dude, this is even beyond...
beyond 4.
Yeah, or beyond Jack... no, not John McClane. This is beyond John McClane.
Yeah.
So let's make Bruce Willis a soldier in this, not John McClane. So they just changed the thing. But anyway, so now we have generic alien action movie, and Michael Bay is able to walk up and slap, the face of whatever on there, or generic ninja fight movie or hero overcome super bad guy movie, and we can slap the Ninja Turtles on it, and make a mediocre thing very good.
It'll make more money.
Or in the case of like Voltron, what they've done is they said, hey, this was really generic, and we have beloved characters, and all these beloved characters have kind of like attitudes in them.
Okay.
What if we delve deeper into that? What if you've given Pidge this generic, I'm the kid and I'm playful and I love this stuff type of thing. What if we took that and we grew on that and we said, okay, Pidge is the kid, but Pidge is that way because older brother and father have been kidnapped, and trying to like maintain this childhood fascination with life while this trauma is in the back of the brain. Oh, and by the way, Pidge isn't trans, but she's been hiding as a boy for a long time so she could be in the military. Pidge is actually a girl. And so, or what if we go into Keith? Keith is the brave and bold, and in fact, he's brash. And what if part of that is from anger? What if part of that is from anger because he doesn't know who his father ever was? What if he made his father Galra? What if he's half the bad guy?
Yeah, that guy.
You know, Galra's the bad guy.
Voltron, so.
Well, the Galrans are the bad guys.
It sounds
what
like
if Keith is half bad guy? You know what I mean?
Well, his name is Keith, so he has to be.
And so, like, they keep doing these things where they're taking these beloved characters and they have this surface thing like, okay, how can we make this deeper? How can we make this better? And they do a really good job of that. And you can take nostalgia both ways.
Yeah.
You can take nostalgia and slap a face on it and go bad with it. Or you can take nostalgia and say, here was this thing you love, we're going to make it even better now.
Yeah, there's a lot of potential for those stories that we loved to be like there was a huge like collective groan when we saw Mad Max 4.
Yes.
Like, really? Mad Max? Like, who cares about that anymore? And then it comes out and it's incredible.
Yeah.
It's very easily argued that it's the best of them. And like, not because it's even cooler Mad Max to me. It's like, oh, it's because like I actually cared about what was happening. Like Mad Max was kind of in the back seat, but I still cared about what he was doing. I saw his motivations. I understood. I really cared about Furiosa. Yes. She was a really cool character. I liked the villain. He was like a cartoony villain, but also like understood what he was going through.
Right. Well, and what you'd expect from that sort of dystopian mindset. Yeah.
It's like a modern day fairy tale, essentially. But so it's like this, anyway, like that kind of thing. Like, remember what we love? Let's, now we have the ability to make it better. The special effects in that, most of them were like a solid 90% were practical. Mm-hmm. Like all the crashes, all the vehicles were real things. Basically background, they added in digitally, but it just enhanced what was going on. Like they took modern day tools to take something you used to love and make it even better.
Right.
And that's what I really love to see in these, to me, to get into a different genre here, into the video game genre, to take something old and to be able to remaster it and add to it, like, I think is awesome. Like, there are certain games that I don't have the ability to play anymore. Let's go with Okami. Okami is a PS2 game, and it came out on the PS3, but then they remastered it and put it on the PS4. Or Shadow of the Colossus is a better example, actually. Mm-hmm. They have not released it. Did they put it on the PS3? I don't know. But when they took it, and now it is available to an entirely new generation. Like, hey, look at what we can do, but also added to it, added things, made it look nicer. Like, they made it, they updated it and made it available for people who had not experienced before and likely wouldn't be able to, because you can't just buy a PS2 whenever you want, or like they're not readily available all the time. And Shadow Colossus on the PS2 is a hard game to find now because it's so good. Like, I think that's a big part of it, is even with the stories and the movies we tell, like, to introduce somebody to, hey, like, these characters that we used to love in a new generation. You're going to have to update it a little bit, make it a little flashier, as always, but it has the opportunity to continue a story or continue the popularity of something in a good way. That's what I really love about this new nostalgia-based filmmaking.
I think God of War is a really good example as far as video games go.
That's a good one.
Where you have God of War, which was that and Resident Evil 4 were kind of the introduction to QuickTime events, and it was a really cool thing, and they used them well. They're not used well anymore, but they were used really well at that time. And it was this really exciting and cinematic Greek tragedy.
Yep.
And there was God of War 2
kind of got away from it.
And it was kind of like, okay, let's make this fast and let's slap Kratos on it.
You're gonna fight more gods.
Yeah. Then there was God of War 3,
and literally murder every god in the Greek pantheon.
Yeah, and it's just getting like more and more boring.
Despite the fact that the things that are happening on screen are ridiculous and crazy. Like you're fighting Poseidon, and it's just this massive, like you're flying around destroying like gods.
Right. Not that these games are bad. 2 and 3 were fine.
They were fun to play.
Okay games. Yeah, they were fun to play, but. That was the bad use of, and I don't want to say nostalgia because those games were made for.
They were sequels to a game that had recently come out.
But now here we are, and we have our memory of Kratos and who he was and kind of his thing, and we're like, okay, let's take this idea of him and how can we dig deeper into this character and how can we do more with this? Yeah. And now we have this like angry, but I'm trying to be a better man father figure to a demigod son.
Dealing with my past while also preparing someone for the future.
Right.
Like, yeah.
And to me, that is good use of nostalgia, and the best use of nostalgia should be, here is something that you loved, but we want to make more of it. We want to take it as a stepping stone to grow you as a person.
I love, it doesn't happen very often, but with like the second Cloverfield movie. The
10 Cloverfield Lane.
10 Cloverfield Lane.
1313 Mockingbird Lane, where the Munsterns live.
Yes. That's what I was going to say. They did not advertise that movie until like I think it might have been literally it came out. Like they put it in theaters or like a couple weeks before or something. And then they put Cloverfield in the title.
Right.
And shoved in a Cloverfield something or other at the end of the movie. But the movie itself is not a Cloverfield movie.
Right.
It used that thing that I like Cloverfield. That was a fun movie. I'm going to go see this new one. Then you watch it and you're like, this is entirely different.
It's in the world of, but that's it.
Kind of. Like, it's not in the world of until the last 5 minutes of the movie.
Right.
They shoved that, like, literally, this is another example of taking another script, making it a Cloverfield movie. Like, it was not both of the Cloverfield Paradox also was like this, where they were not Cloverfield
movies. Which I love
movies.
Both of those movies, by the way.
You like Paradox?
I did like Paradox.
I had problems with
Paradox,
it a lot. But anyway, where I like when it basically used people's nostalgia or just like, I recognize that. I like that to sneak them into watching a better movie. Like 10 Cloverfield Lane is leaps and bounds better than Cloverfield. I mean, they're different movies, of course, but it's far more interesting.
John Goodman is an underappreciated actor.
He is a terrifying person in that movie.
Oh my god!
But also, you understand him. You also like his fears, his loss, that all these things, and it's way better than just Godzilla movie with. That scared me. Anyway,
I don't know if you guys heard that big boom, but we just got a big old boom in our building. That was weird.
That was interesting. Anyway. I love that they took advantage of people's nostalgia. It's like a commentary, like, yeah, you love it. Come watch this something better. Like, you're going to be disappointed, but in a good way.
Well, guys, thank you for listening. Let us know what you think about nostalgia. Let us know what you think about Ready Player One. Fox, I'm going to let you borrow my copy of Ready Player One, and you're going to read it.
Got like 4 other books I'm reading right now, but okay.
What are they? No, they're not better than
I'll just
Ready
make it
Player
5
One.
books I'm reading right now.
Anyway, thank you guys for listening. Let us know what you think about nostalgia. What's your favorite use of nostalgia? Maybe you're a fan of the Transformers movies. Tell us why. Tell us why. So
I can fight you in the comments. Tell us what you want to see remade. How something that's been made in the past could be better.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again for listening, guys. And remember, save games, save lives.
See you later.